All right, everybody, we're going to go ahead and start. We've had a few more people hop on here. So, on behalf of Messer Financial Group, thank you again for joining us this morning. So, today we are going to talk about the most exciting product on the market, which is errors and omissions insurance. Interesting thing is, nobody on this phone call can actually sell this and get paid a commission. So, this is more of a service that Messer Financial can offer you guys. And we just want to make sure that you have a clear understanding of how it works, why it's important. Believe it or not, I talk to agents every single day that don't have coverage, or maybe they purchased a policy so that they could get contracted and then they let it go because they just didn't want to pay for it. But just like building a house, I mean, your foundation is the most important thing. If you slack off building it, you're build a beautiful house and then all of a sudden the thing collapses because that one piece was messed up. So errors and omissions is super, super, super important. It is most often overlooked by most people, right? And a lot of times that overlooked element of business can become the most important in an instant. If you don't have E&O insurance and you do something in an error, right? Or you make a mistake and your client gets upset with you and comes after you, they can take you to court, and now you're liable for that full dollar amount that they want to take you to court for. So this is here to protect you just like you protect your clients. So why does it matter to you and your business, right? Like I said before, we have to have this. Most carriers require you to have E&O if you actually want to do business with them, okay? And we take the time to sit down with our clients. We review their life insurance policies. We review their health insurance, car insurance, whatever, maybe every single year to make sure that the coverage that they have is sufficient for them. So why would we not do that same thing for our own personal books and for ourselves and our businesses? So like I said before, I mean, it's we protect our homes, our cars. We even buy cell phone insurance. I mean, it's crazy. I know people that purchase insurance for their animals, so we should definitely have something solid in place for ourselves. All right, and we're insurance agents, so again, we should have this policy. The biggest question that I have, which is interesting, is that did you at some point in time purchase an E&O policy years ago, 5, 6 years ago, whatever, hit the auto renew button because that was the simplest thing to do, and then just never turn around and look back? I would say that 97% of people that I talk to, the answer to that question is yes. But what's dangerous in doing that is that you need to make sure that you have the correct product coverage. I mean, I've talked to agents who thought that they had disability and long-term care covered on their errors and omissions insurance, and when I had a conversation with them and they pulled their certificate up, they didn't have either one of those coverages. So of course they're freaking out because they have sold disability policies for the last couple of years and they don't even have coverage for those lines. So we need to make sure that we're actually covered the way that we need to be. There's a lot of unnecessary costs. I was just talking to an agent yesterday, pulled up her certificate. She was paying to have variable products covered on her E&O policy, and she's not even licensed to sell variable products. And she'd been paying for this policy for years. She'd been overcharged. A lot of times I run into people and they have maybe a lower price for their E&O. They say, Michael, you can't beat my price. But then there's a membership fee that's involved, which makes the price more expensive than ours. And I've looked at the membership fees. Sometimes it's like you save a cent off of a copy that you make at home Office Depot or whatever. So I don't know. Do you need that? Maybe, maybe not. And another thing too is that a lot of newly licensed agents, there's some carriers out there where if you are with them and you're a licensed agent for less than 2 years, they give you a very, very, very deep discounted price. But then as soon as you hit that 3-year mark, your price skyrockets and you don't know why, or maybe you didn't realize it because you had it on auto renew. All right. So if you're a newly licensed agent, we're pretty comparable, but for most people, I mean, you're outside of that. Chances are you're going to be paying more money everywhere else. So let's look at your, I don't know if you have your deck page in front of you or if you want to go back and look at it, your certificate, and you need to look and see how it works. Go back to your specimen policy. We cover B-rated carriers. there are carriers out there that do not cover anything below an A rating. So if you're an agent selling lots of disability or final expense for good companies but have a B rating, guess what? There's a good chance that your carrier is not going to cover a claim from those people, which is definitely not good. Another factor is that we also cover carriers that does not have an AM's best rating. There's a huge carrier here in North Carolina, actually the largest carrier in North Carolina, and they don't have an AM's best rating. So if you have an E&O policy that doesn't cover anything below an A rating, and that carrier, you have a claim with them, there's a good chance that that E&O policy is not going to cover that claim. So again, you need to go back and look at your own specimen page, your own certificate, and you need to make sure that your carrier does cover B rated and above, or covering carriers that don't have an AM's best rating at all. All right. I'm harping on the disability and long-term care because, again, most carriers, you have to pay an additional fee to have those lines covered, but ours includes that in the general price. So when you look at our pricing structure and it says it covers life and health, whatever you can sell with your life and health license, right? Any life insurance policies, long-term care, Medicare, disability, accident plans, med sups, all of that is going to be included in the basic product, all right, or in the basic product package price. We can also add annuity coverage, right? So there's a lot of people out there. I mean, when I first got into the business almost 11 years ago, I had an E&O policy that forced me to have annuity coverage. I don't think I've ever sold one annuity. Doesn't mean I don't want to. I just never have. So if I go back and look at my business and say, I've never sold it, why am I going to spend more money on something I'm probably never going to sell? We actually give you the option to remove it. A lot of other carriers do too, but we, and it's actually not that much to add it on there later on if you want to. The other thing is we don't have any membership fees. Like I said, I was talking to a gentleman last week who was like, "Hey, Michael, you can't beat my price." And I said, "That's fine. Let me know what we can do for you." And then he sent me an email back a couple hours later and said, "Hey, I was looking, the price was lower, but then there's a $200 membership fee. So we don't have any membership fees like that." And I'm going to look at some pricing structure a little bit towards the end. So there are a lot of frequently asked questions. I'm going to go over some of the ones that we get the most frequently. I mean, there's a ton of them, but I just kind of zeroed in on a handful. So a lot of agents don't understand how their E&O policy actually works. So what exactly does it mean when somebody says you have a 1 million policy, or a 1 million, 3 million, or a 2 million, 2 million, okay? All that means, if you have a 1 million policy, that means that you could technically have one errors and omissions claim a year up to $1 million. You have one claim up to $1 million per year, and that's what it's going to cover for you. So a 1 million, 3 million means that you could have 3 claims a year up to $1 million a piece. But I'm going to be honest with you, if you have 3 E&O claims in 1 year, we should probably have a conversation about going into a different line of business, because 3 claims in a year is a little bit ridiculous. So a 2 million, 2 million, you could have 2 claims a year up to $2 million. I see larger agencies with really high revenue limits take out those types of policies. But the average insurance policy is a 1 million, 1 million. Now, a couple years ago, Aetna required people to have a 1 million, 3 million, which is why all these E&O carriers started offering that option. But that is no longer a requirement. So depending on the state that you're working in, for example, Molina, they're in Florida, they're in Texas, they're in Ohio. Those guys require, California, they require a 1 million, 3 million. I think Foresters also requires a 1 million, 3 million to write their lines of business. But most other carriers, a 1 million, 1 million is pretty sufficient. Product requirements. You don't have to have any products with Messer Financial to participate in our E&O program. It's a service we offer to all insurance agents. Obviously, the hope is that we can gain your trust with this, and then have conversations with you later on about maybe winning some of your Medicare contracts or whatever, life contracts or whatever. But there are no product requirements, so you don't have to have everything with us to participate. Another common question is, what is a group aggregate? So we have two different plans. We have plan one, which is with National Casualty that has a group aggregate. And then we have plan two, which is our older plan with CalSurance, which does not have a group aggregate. So Napa is another, I mean, they're probably one of the main carriers in the United States. They have a $50 million group aggregate, and so does National Casualty, which is our front runner. Basically, that means that all the agents are sharing kind of the same policy, and they have a total amount that they would pay out in a year of $50 million. Now, if you sit back and do the math on that, okay, if everybody has a 1 million policy, and there's 50,000 agents that have this plan, if 50 agents have a $1 million claim that year, there's no more money. It's a $50 million is out, right? So that's kind of scary. People think about that and say, oh my gosh, like, what are the chances of other agents, having a claim? And then if I have a claim, there's no money left. And that is a risk, but you have to understand that these errors and omissions carriers like National Casualty, the one we're talking about right now, has an A+ rating. Napa, CNA, these other guys, they have A+ ratings. These people are in business to make money, just like every other insurance company. So they've weighed their risk. They've looked at all their underwriting. They've looked at all these things to determine a total dollar amount that would be favorable. Because again, they know what are the chances of that many people having a claim in the same year and then them being tapped out. And they know it's very slim. It's very, very slim. So, but that's not my rules. Those are the insurance carrier's rules. Another one, can I have an individual policy even though I write business under my agency banner? So we have a lot of independent guys and gals that, Michael Colon doing business as Insurance Pros, whatever, right? And when I write business, I'm writing underneath my LLC. But I'm a sole proprietor. I'm by myself. I don't have downline agents. I'm doing my own thing. So what we can do for you, and this is totally legal, you can take out an individual policy, which is less expensive than a full agency policy, and you can alter the deck, or we will alter the deck page for you that says Michael Colon doing business as my insurance agency name. So that way, whether I'm writing as an individual, whether I'm writing underneath my agency name, it's going to be covered underneath the same policy. Okay, so for an agency, for a true agency policy, if you have downline agents, right, you've got 10, 15 people that you've recruited that have contracts with you, that you're getting overrides on, that is out there selling every single day. If you want to have an agency policy where they are covered underneath that, we can do that. You just need to have a true agency policy, which we have options for. All right. Another one, this is crazy. A lot of people who want to switch to us because we're able to save them money calls their past E&O provider and they say, my company told me to ask to make sure that if I switch that you guys are going to cover all of my past written business, because they said there's a possibility that you won't. And what's interesting is there's truth in that, but they're not telling you the whole truth. As long as you don't have a lapse in coverage, any new E&O provider will cover all of your past written business. So if you've been in the business for 20 years, and for 20 years you've had continuous coverage, there was never a gap, there was no lapse in your E&O policy, if you switch to the new provider and you, let's just say you wrote a policy 10 years ago, that person, there's a claim for whatever reason, right? And you have National Casualty, our new provider, National Casualty will pay that claim, right? Assuming that you had no lapse in coverage. And that's the rule, that's the general rule for all E&O providers. So as long as you don't have a lapse, any new carrier, even if you go to a different carrier other than us, they will cover all of your past written business, which is very, very, very important. Okay. Again, does Messer's policy cover long-term care and disability? I've already answered this twice. Yes, in our basic product package. You don't have to turn around and pay more money to get those two lines added on there. The only one that adds a cost is a fixed or indexed annuity coverage, or if you opted for property and casualty coverage. Will it cover you even if you're not contracted with Messer? Yes. So we had kind of kicked around the idea of having a specific E&O policy that was just for Messer agents, people who are contracted with us. And we thought to ourselves, maybe we should do it, maybe we shouldn't. But, we're here to offer services to insurance agents. And we also understand that there are insurance agents who are captive or somewhere else, and they can't work with us. So we wanted to be able to extend that same pricing structure to them as well. All right. So you don't have to have anything with us if to be able to participate in our E&O policy. Now the interesting thing is, because the next question is about the deductible. All right. If you have an E&O claim, if you are contracted with Messer, so let's pretend like your Aetna contract or your United Healthcare contract is with Messer Financial. If you have a claim for Aetna or United Healthcare and that contract is with Messer, you have a $500 deductible. If that contract is not with Messer, it's a $1,000 deductible, right? Which people are like, oh, that's kind of steep. But go back and look at your own certificate. Go look at your own policy. The retention amount, that's your deductible. A lot of times, the average retention amount is like $2,500 for every single carrier. So ours is much lower regardless. All right. But go back and look at your own policy, because there's a lot of people on this phone call and there's a good chance that every single one of you has a different company. Okay. How does the agency policy work? So if you have downline agents that you would like to include covered on your agency E&O policy, then that's when you need the true agency plan. And it's going to be based on revenue. So if you're making between $750,000 and $1 million of revenue a year, there's a specific price for that. You can choose, higher coverage limits because you've got 15 people that you're covering. You just need to let us know. So you would go and apply, get the true agency policy, send us an email that says, hey, I've got these 15 agents. I need them all covered on my deck page. Here's their names and their NPNs, because there's probably more than one John Smith that's an insurance agent in the United States. We'll make sure that, they're on there. We'll send you the certificate back. And then each one of your agents, as they're contracting, would send them that deck page showing that they have coverage underneath your agency. Okay. There's a price for it. Usually the agency head pays for it. If you want to charge your agents, that's up to you. I mean, you can do whatever you want. You can add people on. We're kind of trying to limit it to about 15 agents or so. But if you have an agent that you recruit, they're with you for 6 months and then they leave you and go somewhere else, or they quit or whatever, you can just send us an email and say, hey, I need Bob Smith removed from my deck page. Great. And we'll send you a new deck page. His name will no longer be on there. And that's it. So it's pretty self-explanatory. It's a policy for somebody who's got multiple downline agents. Okay. Can I get P&C covered? Yes. So we've always had 2 E&O carriers in the past with CalSurance, which we still currently offer. I'm going to talk about them in a little bit. They only had the life and health that was through us. So we launched National Casualty the middle of last year, and it does include P&C coverage. So if you're just writing personal lines, there's a price for just personal lines, which I'll show you guys later. If you're doing both personal and commercial lines, there's a price for that too. So we're not going to say you have to have everything. A lot of people who are looking for P&C coverage, flood damage is a requirement by some of your carriers. That flood damage is included in our P&C. I do want to be clear that our P&C is for basic lines. If you're doing like medical malpractice and all these like really specialized lines of P&C, like ours is not designed for that person. If more than 50% of your total revenue comes from P&C sales, you will not be able to participate in our program. This E&O is set up for the life and health insurance agent who might dabble in P&C. Maybe they've got their license in less than 50% of their total revenue. And when I say revenue, I'm meaning if you make $100,000 a year, no more than $49,000 of that commissions can come from the P&C to be able to participate in that portion. All right. Um, and if you guys have specific questions about that, you can email me or email our administrators, and we'll be able to answer them or ask them in the little question box. Here's another one. Can you sell E&O and get paid a commission? No, this is not a product that we are offering and extending to insurance agents to go and sell to other insurance agents. There's a lot of moving parts and stuff that took place way above my pay grade that I was not involved in. At this time, no, we've kicked around the idea of being able to offer it as a service, that if you know insurance agents that you want to go and sell them a policy. But most insurance agents aren't talking to other insurance agents to sell policies. You guys are usually dealing with the end consumer, so we're not really exploring that option at this point in time. Where do you get your certificate? So depending on which carrier you go with, right? Because we got two options. If you went with option one, you just need to email us, and we'll go to our website, and I'll show you guys in a minute. But if you just email EANDO, so EANDO at messerfinancial.com, and say, I need a copy of my certificate. Can you send it to me? We'll do that. So there's been a weird glitch. Like when you apply for a policy, you typically get 3 or 4 emails from us. One of them is a receipt for payment. As soon as you pay, you get a copy of your application, and then a third email goes out that is your certificate. For some reason, I've talked to a handful of people who get their receipt and the copy of their application directly to their inbox, but then their actual certificate goes to spam. I don't really know why, but if you purchase a policy and you don't get the certificate, look there. It should be waiting for you. If not, email us. We'll send it to you in a few minutes. Not a huge deal. Okay. Is there a free look period? No, there's not a free look period. So, with life insurance or health insurance, you have a 10-day free look period. You sell somebody a policy and they pay for it and they decide, I don't want this thing anymore. It can be canceled and they can get all their money back. So this does not work the same way for the end user consumers. There isn't a free look period. So if you decide, hey, I'm going to purchase this plan, you keep it for, a month or whatever, you can cancel it. You can terminate the policy. You won't have coverage, but you're not going to get like all of your money for the month back. You're going to be charged for that 1 month. So, but if you pay for the entire year, if you pay yearly and you need to make changes in the middle of the year and you've had it for 6 months, the price will be prorated for the 6 months that you had that current policy, and then we can help you readjust it moving forward. Adding agents to your agency policy. So again, you need to just email us, EANDO at messerfinancial.com. Need to add Betty Smith on here and remove Don Smith. Whatever. Here's their NPNs. We'll alter the deck page for you. Send it back. Very, very easy. Can your policy be retroed? So this is a loaded question. Yes and no. I've had somebody call me and they said, hey, Michael, I've been in the business for 15 years. I had E&O all the way up to March of last year, and then I retired and I let my E&O lapse. Can you retro my policy back to March of last year? And no, I can't do that because you just had 12 months of a gap lapse in your insurance. I don't have the ability to go back and say, you know what? Yeah, I'll go ahead and take the risk of basically selling you a policy that was effective March of 2017 and then have you go ahead and pay a whole year's premium and then have a new policy start for, starting March 2018. Like, we can't retro it like that. But if you call me today and you say, Michael, I got busy, I completely forgot my E&O, like it was supposed to renew on April 1st, we can retro it back to the first of the current month. So you could call me on April 30th and say, Michael, something happened. I thought it renewed. It didn't. I need my policy to start April 1st so that I don't have a lapse. We can backdate it. You're going to pay for the month, but we can backdate it to April 1st so that you don't have any lapses in coverage. Somebody else asked me the other day about effective dates. That's actually not on here. What are the effective dates that we offer? One of the ways that we keep pricing so low for you guys is that we streamline everything. Everybody has a first of the month effective date. I can either make it effective April 1st or I can make it effective May 1st, right? Or if it's May, I can either make it effective May 1st or June 1st. So it's never going to be in the middle of the month. So some people, I know probably some people on the call have a policy that, I don't know, is effective the 15th or the 16th. I can't make it effective the 15th. I can retro it to April 1st, but there's a pretty good chance that we're going to save you a significant amount of money. So if you took a policy out with us, I mean, you'll have double coverage, but the new policy would start on the 1st. Your existing one cancels on the 15th or 16th. You had two policies for 2 weeks, but the savings that you're going to get probably made it pretty worth it. Okay, can you have more than one policy? I don't know why you would have more than one policy. I had a gentleman call me the other day. I think he was new to the business, and he said that he was told that he needed to have an E&O policy for every single state that he was going to work in. So he needed one for North Carolina, one for Georgia, one for New York. And I was just like, I don't know where you're getting your information from, but that is absolutely not the case. You need one E&O policy. It will cover all your carriers for the life and health. Some people who are broker dealers, where you've got your securities license and you've got to get some E&O coverage through their designated carrier of choice. But then if you want to sell other ones, they'll tell you, hey, if you want to sell, I don't know, Transamerica's life insurance policy or whatever, you have to go get, we're not going to cover that. We're not going to cover anything that you write outside of our broker dealer thing. You have to go get another policy. That's a pretty common thing, but for the average agent, no, non-securities license, no, just one policy is all you need. You don't need more than one. Okay, I wanted to show you guys some of our prices because sometimes it can be a little bit confusing. I only have the 1 million, 1 million, and the 1 million, 3 million listed on there. And if that's really small, I'm sorry. We also have a 2 million, 2 million option for the national casualty. All right. So we advertise our E&O as starting at $355 a year, and then there's a star. And people call me and say, Michael, you said it was $355. I'm like, no. I said it starts at $355. There's criteria for you to get specific pricing. And really what it boils down to is what coverage level do you want, and what is your commissions from insurance sales? They want gross commissions, and they actually are looking at last year. So if last year you get all your 1099s and you made, I don't know, $48,000, then your price is going to be right there. I want a 1 million policy. My revenue is up to $50,000, and I want just life and health. It's $355. That's the price. But if that person comes back and says, yeah, but I need annuity coverage, well, the very next one, LH&A, life, health, and annuity, it's $405 a year. So you can see the price goes up, not by much. I mean, if you just want a life and health and no annuity, if you make between 50 and 100K, it goes up to $385 or $415 if you make over $100,000 a year. Okay, so that's kind of the criteria for that. And then for the 1 million, 3 million, it's still pretty comparable. You make less than 50K a year, it's $400 a year. Now, people also ask, are there any additional fees built into this? This is the price if you get E&O with us. Okay, there's no other hidden fees. If you want to pay $400 lump sum, because those are our payment options, right? You can pay $400 for a 1 million, 3 million with no annuity coverage, making less than $50,000 a year in commissions. You're going to pay $400 a year. That's it. If you want to pay monthly, right, there is an annual administrative fee built in to the payment schedule. And if you notice, every single E&O carrier operates the same way. If you want to pay monthly, that initial payment is always higher than the rest of the monthly payments. Okay, and it's a $65 fee because that's an administrative fee that we have to pay. So if you got that 1 million, 3 million policy and you made less than 50K a year and you want to pay monthly, your first payment's $97.92. And then the next 11 payments are $32.92. So if you do the math on that, that's a $65 difference. There is a $65 admin fee that we are charged to be able to offer a monthly payment plan to folks. Okay, so we're not going to pay that for you. You have to pay that for yourself. So there's no other built-in fees. There's no other hidden charges. There's no membership costs. Like the price is what the price is. Okay. Now, we have a small anomaly in our pricing structure. If you notice over here between the 1 million, 3 million limit, if you make between $100,000 and $250,000 a year, and you want life, health, and annuity coverage, okay, it's $480 a year. Okay. Now we have a second option. Just keep that 480 in mind. Okay. The original. You know what? I'm gonna do that one in a second. Okay. The original E&O policy that we offered was with CalSurance. We still offer that. Okay. If you notice right here, a 1 million, 3 million, level 2 means it includes annuity coverage. Lump sum is $480 if you're going to pay annually, right? What is the difference between these two prices if they're exactly the same? Okay. The CalSurance program is a true individual aggregate plan. So if you remember earlier on in the webinar, we were talking about a group aggregate, CalSurance, NAPA, these other guys, not CalSurance, NAPA, National Casualty, our program one. They have a $50 million group aggregate. Okay, so there's a pool of money that agents are using for their E&O. The CalSurance plan is a true individual policy. There is no group thing. It is your policy. So if 800 agents have $1 million claim in 1 year, it doesn't affect you. Okay. So that's why the price is where it's at. So this is a true individual policy. So if you're an insurance agent who needs a 1 million, 3 million policy, if you need life, health, and annuity coverage, if you're going to pay annually, right, the program 2 is going to be the more favorable option for you because it is a true individual policy. Okay. So look right here, 1 million, 3 million is $445 a year. It's level 1, does not include annuities. This is with CalSurance, right? $445 a year. 1 million, 3 million. If you make less than 50K, it's $400 a year on our national casualty. Program 1's a little bit more favorable, okay? But if you make more than $100,000 a year, right, the national casualty is $450. So we're talking a $5 a year difference, okay? So you need to look at your own situation, and it's going to be based on commissions, all right? So I just wanted to point those two out. CalSurance, our program 2 is still a very, very, very good option. Like I said, this one has a 2 million limit. You can see the pricing structure there. National Casualty, our program 1, also has a $2 million limit. I just didn't put it in there for the sake of time. But I did want to show you guys agency pricing really fast. This is the pricing structure for somebody who needs a true agency policy. All right, you've got 5, 10, 15 downline agents. You want them all covered on your E&O policy. You're going to offer that service to them. This is the pricing, but the only thing that's different, we actually have a 2 million limit on this one as well, just so you know, and all this can be found on our website. The difference in this is going to be obviously the price, but you're also going to see revenue, right? The agency making less than 250K, 250 to 5, and so on and so forth. If you go above $1 million, if you guys are doing more than $1 million of revenue, you need to call me and we need to have a conversation, because I have to do a manual application for you and send it in for them to approve it. We've had a few that were like $1.5 million. They approved it, same price with no problems. But just keep that in mind. But the same thing for this agency. If you want life and health and annuities and you want to include personal lines, there's your price. If you're making less than 250K a year, $1,275 a year. Now I've been told this pricing for these, even $1,625, including commercial, I've been told that this pricing structure can typically be about $400 to $500 a year less than what people are currently paying. So even if I switch back to the individual policy that includes our personal and commercial lines, if you're an agent, 1 million, needing all the lines, $955 a year. I talked to an agent the other day who was paying $1,650. They were ecstatic to save money. And of course, do your diligence, right? Pull the deck page that you currently have. look at your specimen policy, look at these things to make sure that you have the coverage limits that you actually need. All right. Okay, where can you find some more information? If you go to Messer's website, hover your mouse, you can just click on this link too. If you hover your mouse over top of agent resources, and then the little drop down box pops up, click on E&O, and then it'll pull up a page and you'll see two options. You'll see program one with national casualty, which is our lower pricing structure and the one that offers P&C and true agency coverage. And then you'll see option two, which is CalSurance, which is the individual policy. So you can go there, you can look at all the pricing, you can apply online in less than 5 minutes if you decide you want program one. I mean, you click on that link. I timed myself doing it the other day. It took me 5 minutes to answer the questions and make a premium payment. You can click on the auto renewal button. I know we talked about the dangers of clicking auto renew and never looking back, but I feel like with our policy, it's less expensive and we're covering things that other carriers are not. Probably be safe, but you would still want to review your policy every single year to make sure your revenue hasn't changed, to make sure you don't need to add P&C or anything else. But you can apply online in less than 5 minutes. And of course, you can call the office if you hit extension 890. It'll ring to the E&O department, and we'll be able to answer any questions that you may have. So if you're getting ready to renew your policy, you can give us a call. You can go and look at the pricing structure. We'd love to save you a little bit of money. Just tell you about the Messer difference and how we support agents in the field. I mean, like I said, you don't have to be with us to get access to our E&O policy. But because we do this for everybody, I mean, we'd love to have an opportunity to show you what else we do, what other carriers, what other lines of insurance. I mean, we don't sell E&O solely for a living, right? I mean, we're a true FMO. So if you're selling United or Aetna or whoever out there, Transamerica, AIG, life insurance, health insurance, I mean, we do a lot, and we'd love to have conversations with you individually to see how we could serve you and win your contracts and just give you the support that you need throughout the year. So other than that, I don't think there's there is a question on there. Hold on a second. I was getting ready to let you guys go. Let's see here. Are there further discounts if one is appointed with certain carriers like United Healthcare, Blue Cross Blue Shield? So if you're asking about further discounts for the price, no, the price is the price. And if you're asking about discounts on your deductible, if that contract is with Messer Financial and you have a claim, then the deductible is $500. But if you don't have those contracts with Messer Financial and you have a claim, it's $1,000. I think a lot of people can go direct to Blue Cross and get an E&O policy, and it's like, I don't remember what their deductible is. It's like $1,000 for Blue Cross and then $2,500 for everybody else. So I'm not 100% sure if that's your question, but Glenn, I can I'll fire an email off to you afterwards and make sure. So let me look and see if there's any more. I don't see any other questions. Well, we really appreciate you guys for coming on board. If you have any questions, please feel free to give us a call here at the office. You can email me directly too. It's M as in Michael. My last name is Colon, but it looks like Colin. So it's C as in cat, O, L as in Larry, O, N as in Nancy. So it looks like M Colin at Messer, MESSER financial.com. So we really, really appreciate you all for joining us today. Have a happy Wednesday. Take care.